I, for one, am shocked that Vince's charges have been dropped. Jokes aside, this is typical Vince, throw money at everything and settle things out. No matter how much everyone tries to move away from Vince, he still ends up in the headlines in some shape or form. We just can't get rid of the creepy old man. Now that Vince has settled one of his cases, can we expect him to return to WWE? Or can we expect him to start a totally new pro wrestling promotion? Let's look at everything regarding what's going on with Vince McMahon right here on JRSlobberKnocker. Let's get right into it. Vince's evil and ugly actions came to light in 2022 when the Wall Street Journal reported that WWE was investigating a hush money payment of $3 million that Vince has secretly paid to women whom he had sexually misconducted. The Wall Street Journal would then go on to reveal that Vince had paid $12 million in hush money to 4 different women. Knowing things were getting bad, Vince retired and stepped away from WWE. It was at this point that Triple H, Nick Khan, and Stephanie McMahon took control of the company. Things started to get better for the company as those 3 individuals worked hard to improve the product. Vince, however, wasn't going to let things go that easily. Being the majority shareholder at the time, Vince returned to the company in 2023 and planned on selling the company. Stephanie wanted no part of it and she actually resigned. Vince selling the company was a huge shock, as many believed that he was never going to sell what he loved the most. WWE was sold to Endeavor and the company was merged with UFC to form TKO Group's Holdings. Thinking he would regain the power he lost and restore his tarnished reputation by selling the company to his longtime friend Ari Emanuel, things took a major twist when Ari asked Vince to not interfere with the day-to-day operations, as his presence would do more harm than good. This meant that Triple H remained in charge of creative, and the wrestling fans were happier than ever. For Vince, the worst was yet to come. At the beginning of 2024, a new lawsuit appeared against Vince McMahon in which allegations were made by a former WWE employee named Janelle Grant. According to the lawsuit, Vince sexually assaulted Grant on multiple occasions, and he used her for sex trafficking with his friends, including John Laurinaitis. Vince then agreed to pay Grant $3 million as part of an NDA, but only paid her $1 million. The company had enough of Vince, and the man had no option but to leave the company for good. Ever since then, the company's been on a roll. It's making record-breaking profits by charging fans overpriced tickets that could bring them on the streets. With that being said, the product is 1,000 times better than it was 3 years ago. Just when we thought we were ready to put Vince behind us, the old man found his way back to the headlines. It has been made public that Vince reached a settlement with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and he will pay over $1.7 million to resolve the charges that were linked to those NDA payments. Vince was quick to reveal everything on X, saying, "The case is closed. Today ends nearly 3 years of investigation by different governmental agencies. There has been a great deal of speculation about what exactly the government was investigating and what the outcome would be. As today's resolution shows, much of that speculation was misguided and misleading." He ended the post by stating, "I'm thrilled that I can now put all this behind me." To make things clear for you, the Janelle Grant case is still on, and Vince made it seem like everything's okay now. Grant's attorney, Ann Callis, was quick to let everyone know that the entire thing showed that Vince indeed broke the law to cover up his pathetic behavior. During his time leading WWE, Vince McMahon acted as if rules did not apply to him, and now we have confirmation that he repeatedly broke the law to cover up his horrifying behavior, including human trafficking. Now, what I'm about to say is totally my opinion. I do think there's a chance that Donald Trump pardons Vince McMahon and Vince ends up facing no consequences, especially since Vince's ex-wife, Linda, is now part of his cabinet. Trump and Vince go way back and they have a long-time friendship. I believe most pro wrestling fans are aware of that. Don't get me wrong, I would like to see the victims get justice and the offenders pay the price for what they did, but you should not rule out the possibility of Trump pardoning Vince for his crimes. The case is still going on, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens in the end. With that being said, what's next for Vince McMahon? Is he returning to WWE? You guys want a simple answer? No chance in hell. There's a reason why Mr. McMahon was kicked out in the first place. They don't want anything to do with Vince anymore. With how hot WWE is right now, the company doesn't want to bring in any bad press that could stop those sweet dollar bills from rolling in. The company is better off without Vince, and fans can rest easy knowing that he won't be welcomed back by anyone there. Whether it's the performers, the executives, or even his own son-in-law, nobody's going to welcome Vince with open arms in today's WWE. This brings us to the next question. Is Vince going to start his own wrestling promotion? It was reported toward the end of last year that Vince has been working on a new entertainment hub company that will mainly focus on producing films and TV projects. This sounds far from a new pro wrestling company. To be very honest, Vince is nearing 80, and I don't think he would be able to start a whole new wrestling promotion that could rival either WWE or AEW. Even if he were to begin a new wrestling company, what's possible? Could he do better than both WWE and AEW? Bring himself Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan out and see who gets the loudest boos in the building? Sounds interesting, but I'll pass. I don't think he's going to succeed with this rumored entertainment hub company, considering Vince hasn't had much luck with his ventures outside of WWE. The World Bodybuilding Federation? Failed. XFL? Failed. The World? Failed. Pro wrestling was the only thing Vince McMahon succeeded at, and he failed at everything outside of it. Why would his new venture be any different? Even during his final years in WWE, he was bringing the entire company down to the ground. The ratings were down, and the interest was at an all-time low. Losing much of his power is one of the major reasons WWE is doing better now. This also affected AEW, as it was easy to compete against Vince's creative. With Triple H in charge, it has been hard for Tony Khan to compete with the product Triple H has put on in the past 2 years. Things don't look so good in any shape or form going forward for Vince, and he brought this upon himself. Nobody should be feeling that bad for Vince if he ends up behind the bars. So, there you have it, my friends. What do you think could be next for Vince McMahon? Let us know in the comments below. You might also want to check out our other awesome videos on the channel. Make sure to subscribe to JRSlobberKnocker for more.